Have you ever watched an ant wander far from its nest and still find its way back like it never got lost? No map, no GPS, yet it works almost every time. For a creature with a brain smaller than a grain of sand, that's already impressive. But what's even more surprising is that ants don't rely on just one trick. They use several at once. So how do ants actually do it? Today, we're uncovering the hidden navigation systems ants use to find their way home, right here, on History of Simple Things. At first glance, ants might seem chaotic, like they're just wandering around hoping to stumble back into their nest. But in reality, most ants follow strict navigation rules. Their movements are purposeful, calculated, and guided by multiple overlapping systems. Ants don't rely on just one trick. Instead, they use a combination of chemical signals, visual memory, internal step counting, and even the position of the sun. Think of it as a biological backup system. If one method fails, another takes over. One of the most well-known ways ants navigate is through pheromones, which are chemical signals they release onto surfaces as they move. When an ant finds food, it lays down a pheromone trail on the way back to the nest. Other ants detect this scent using their antennae and follow it. The stronger the trail, the more ants use it. This creates a feedback loop. More ants mean more pheromones, which in turn make the path even stronger. That's why you'll often see ants marching in neat lines. But pheromones alone aren't enough. Wind, rain, heat, and time can all weaken or erase these chemical trails. That's where ants' other navigation tools come in. Some ants, especially desert ants, use a technique called path integration, also known as dead reckoning. Essentially, they keep track of how far they've traveled and in which direction. Scientists discovered this by conducting clever experiments. Researchers let ants walk to food while wearing tiny stilts that made their legs longer. When the ants tried to return home, they overshot the nest. When their legs were shortened, they stopped too early. This showed that ants literally count their steps and calculate distance based on stride length. It's not math in the human sense, but a biological odometer built into their nervous system. Ants are also excellent celestial navigators. Many species use the position of the sun to orient themselves. Even more impressive, they can detect polarized light, a pattern created when sunlight scatters in the atmosphere. This allows ants to know direction even when the sun is partially hidden by clouds or obstacles. Their eyes are specially adapted to pick up these light patterns, giving them a built-in compass. So while humans might need a watch and a compass to stay oriented, ants look up. No batteries required. Ants don't just look at the ground. They memorize the world around them. Trees, rocks, shadows, and even the shape of the horizon can all become visual landmarks. As ants leave their nest, they often stop, turn around, and scan their surroundings. This behavior helps them create a mental snapshot of what home looks like from different angles. Later, when returning, they match what they see to those stored images. If scientists move familiar landmarks even slightly, ants can become confused and search in the wrong location. Clear evidence that memory plays a huge role in navigation. Despite all these systems, ants do occasionally lose their way. When that happens, they don't panic. Instead, they switch strategies. Lost ants often begin moving in expanding loops, a search pattern that increases the chance of rediscovering a pheromone trail or spotting a familiar landmark. This method is surprisingly efficient, and prevents them from wandering endlessly in one direction. In other words, even when ants fail, they fail intelligently. Not all ants navigate the same way. Forest ants rely heavily on visual cues. Desert ants depend more on sun position and step counting. Army ants prioritize pheromone communication over landmarks. This flexibility is one reason ants have been so successful as a species. With over 12,000 known species, ants have adapted their navigation systems to match their environment. An ant's brain is tiny, about the size of a pinhead, but it's incredibly efficient. Rather than processing massive amounts of information like the human brain, ant brains are optimized for specific tasks. Navigation is one of those tasks. Ants don't waste energy on unnecessary details. They focus on what matters: direction, distance, and key environmental signals. This efficiency has inspired scientists and engineers. Ant navigation is studied in robotics, swarm intelligence, and even self-driving technology. Understanding how ants find their way home isn't just fascinating, it's useful. Ant-inspired algorithms help design traffic systems, delivery routes, and robotic swarms that can function without central control. In nature, ants prove that complex behavior doesn't require complex brains. Sometimes, simple rules applied consistently can solve incredibly complicated problems. The next time you see an ant carrying a crumb across the sidewalk, remember this: it's not wandering blindly. It's tracking chemical trails, counting steps, reading the sun, memorizing landmarks, and constantly recalculating its position. All of that inside a brain smaller than a grain of sand. Ants may be tiny, but their sense of direction is nothing short of extraordinary. And it's a reminder that intelligence comes in many forms, often hiding in the smallest places. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.